That's good to go. Yes. Okay. Ready? This meeting of the Montara Sanitary District. There is April 18, 2024, 7:23 p.m. And this Director Baker here, Director Youngs present, Director Howard here, Director Slater here, and Director Salke.
All board members, all 5 board members are present.
Okay, good. I just want to double check. I'm not seeing any video of PCT Live. We're good streaming? Okay. All right. I'm just going to depart from the usual. I don't have a president's statement tonight. Do we have any oral comments for items that are not on the agenda? Okay.
After Sid.
Okay.
Real quick, I got my chipper program flyer today, and for Montara and Moss Beach, it's May 22nd. They have priority streets identified, but nothing on the west side. So I called them and they said, like, if neighborhoods want to get together and make a big community pile, that would be okay. But to let them know where the location is. So like Seal Cove, maybe we don't have a lot of trees. Oh, I'm sorry. This is through the fire. It's Fire San Mateo RCD.org, Resource Conservation District. And they also announce it on Fire Safe Council. So that what it says is you try to keep your house with 100 feet of defensible space, 30 feet from the access roads, face all the cut ends in one direction. Piles can be easily accessible from a road, driveway, or lane with good access. Piles must be within 8 feet of the road, and each pile must not exceed 10 feet wide, 10 feet long, and 5 feet tall. One year I took mine over to the area in the back of Montara where Rick Lohman lives, but then I found out you can make arrangements. And the pieces have to be 8 inches or less in diameter. So.
Okay, is there a website?
Hold on. Register for chipping, please email fire@sanmateorcd.org.
Okay, so fire@sanmateorcd.org.
Right. Oh, and there is a website, sanmateorcd.org/chipper. They only do it once a year. So it's May 20th for El Granado, May 22nd for Montara and Moss Beach.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Before we move on, I've got a note that the audio seems to be having difficulties, that Sid was coming through clear, but the rest of us may not be.
It's fixed.
Okay.
Thank you. And I had something.
Okay, Kathleen.
I'm going to be reporting this in more depth for when we get to the CSDA report. But I have been notified several times by CSDA that there is going to be a retroactive invalidation by a ballot initiative in November of all the rates we have passed since January 1, 2022. It's
Just our
called,
district.
Let's let it finish and we'll go to questions after that.
Could you pass me the Kleenex, Scott, please?
thank you. It is every single district in the state,
Oh,
every single city in the state, any single connection fee or rate making agency in the state. And they've all come together to create a group, an association to stop this from happening. But it's passed by these big housing corporations who have been trying to grow the housing exceptional and take away local zoning. Now they're
Developers.
trying to take,
What's,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, when someone has the floor, they have the floor. And that means for everything.
Mhm. 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 Sorry.
and that is for every agency, it will essentially get rid of cities and special districts and other rate making and environmental agencies' ability to have a civilized and clean and public health agencies and communities, because if they can't, if we don't get our money, it means we can't pay our SAM bills. It will pollute our beaches. These are the folks between SB 9 and 10, behind SB 9 and 10 from several years ago that allows apartment buildings to go in on 5,000 square foot lots. And so I will be, I'm gonna be talking about this a lot as an individual. Because we have to protect our environment and our neighborhoods and our communities. And this is just one of those, scary things that big business is trying to load onto the folks who live here.
At some point, sorry, she.
Okay. Wait to be called, please. Let's just try to do this.
I
Take some
will be
practice.
talking about it more during the CSDA report. I just want the public to be aware that this is coming. And that we've got to talk about it to our friends. For every single special district, we have to go through a specific rate making process. There's not Prop 218 where things can be reversed if there's a big enough vote, but this would take away that vote and take away local decision making. So thank you, and I will report more on this as I get more information.
All right, thank you. Bill, did you have something?
At some point, I want to know the names of local supporters so I can look them in the eye.
The supporters that's for this thing
That's
or
it.
against?
Well, obviously, supporters of the bad things.
Okay,
Did it already get voted in, Catherine?
It's on on the November 2024 ballot.
Yeah, measure. Okay, thanks.
okay. Now we're gonna go to a public hearing, item 1, review and consideration of ordinance prohibiting water theft and establishing administrative penalties for water theft. And, let's see, so, I think we're gonna go to you, and then I'll open the, public hearing.
Correct, but I mean, let me do the staff report, and then I'm gonna ask you to open the hearing, accept the testimony, and then close the hearing with the motion before the board discussion. So what we're talking about again is the review and consideration of an ordinance prohibiting water theft and establishing administrative penalties for water theft. So we're dealing with a change in the law here. Governor Newsom signed a law, SB 427 last year, and that gives all water agencies in California authority to adopt enhanced penalties for water theft. So this bill really allows higher fines for violations than what previously existed. This is really important for us. This is not something that happens quite often, but it does happen once in a while that somebody just steals water. And what we're seeing here is really sometimes health and safety issues that are created through this, for example. So there is, of course, revenue loss. There is a lot of damage to us ultimately, and a potential for significant impact. So what this law does is it essentially authorizes this board to adopt an ordinance that prohibits the water theft and makes these violations punishable. And so there is a list how these fines can be structured. I want to point out that we would in the future essentially establish those fines by adding them to the master fee schedule. So I want to thank Christine for preparing the ordinance and all of this and really bringing this to my attention as well. So then again, the recommendation here is to move the adoption of the ordinance of the Montara Water and Sanitary District, adding Article 8 to Chapter 5 of the district's Code of Regulations prohibiting water theft and establishing administrative penalties for the theft of water. It's the reason for an ordinance. We're changing our MWSD code here, we're amending it. And that said, again, Scott, if you would now open the public hearing, accept the relevant testimony, and then by motion, close the hearing before the discussion.
Okay, so we'll go to board discussion after any public testimony. All right, I'm opening the public hearing, and I'm looking to members of the public for any testimony, which would be questions or concerns. I see a hand raised, Greg Diegas.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I wonder why this
I'm
should
sorry, Greg,
apply
hang
just.
on. Greg, we're not hearing you. I think we need to adjust something here.
Greg is unmuted.
Yeah.
We
The
don't-
volume on the TV is down, and I don't know if the bar is up.
Ah,
Okay, Greg, if you could try it again, please.
Try it again. Try it again.
Oh, we're gonna have to go up higher. He's just barely coming out right now.
Try it again.
I just hear it through this.
I think in the hallways, I can sort of hear him.
Is that machine muted?
Oh, we're running into the other computer, right? It's maybe.
Obviously, but usually we do on computer. Yes, it's setting where.
Is the volume on the laptop muted?
Switch computer real quick. 2 minutes.
Is that laptop muted?
This is ours.
Yeah, is it muted? Zoom is saying, not hearing anything, turn up the volume, so
And the laptop needs to be used.
the,
You get the sound.
isn't that feeding the TV?
And this. No, it's unmuted.
No. Is the volume turned down? See the thing at the top, turn up the volume?
Testing, testing. Tracy, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah, on the Zoom call.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Right. Now they can probably hear you guys.
Testing again.
Can you hear us now?
Do you hear us through our
I hear-
mic here?
I hear Clemens.
Oh, it's funny.
So you did.
Okay,
Well, then it's good, right?
I don't. think
Greg,
they
let me
can
check.
hear
Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Looks
I
like
apologize
you
for
figured it
the,
out.
I apologize for the difficulties. Greg, if you would please proceed.
Okay. I'm wondering why this shouldn't also apply to sewer connections. And I'm mindful of an issue I reported to Clemens a few weeks back. A citizen reported to me, a resident reported to me that there was a trailer in the back of the Chevron station which had very unusual looking sewer pipe connection. You know, we need all the legitimate funding we can get in every public works agency. And so my question is, what about the sewer connections?
Let me say this, well, I'm definitely acknowledging the report that you gave to me about this connection, working with the property owner to resolve the situation, but your real question, I'm gonna turn over to Christine and hope that you can help me out here.
Sure, thanks. This particular ordinance comes from a statute in the water code. And there is not a companion statute for sewer theft, like, for lack of a better word to describe it. But our sewer code does provide for fines and penalties in general for any kind of tampering with district equipment. That would apply to sewer. This particular code section, though, for water theft was sort of prompted by the legislature, I think, because of, water being such a scarce source, and is specifically directed towards that, probably because it happens not quite a bit, but it can be very detrimental to the district as sewer. So I certainly can look into, see if there's a specific statute, I'm not aware of one, to see if there's something, there's greater penalties. But right now in our code, certainly anyone tampering with the district's equipment is subject to fines. These proposed fines are specific to water and to this particular statute that allows sort of enhanced penalties and broadens the scope of what constitutes water theft.
So my request is, Christina and anyone at the board, if you would forward to me your thoughts on what a desired statute would look like. I've been in touch with a number of legislators and their aides this past week, asking for increased impact fees and pointing out the financial condition of our infrastructure. I would like to add this into a list of potential initiatives to address the public works infrastructure that's threatened by all this additional housing. And this seems like a logical companion to a suite of other recommendations. Thank you.
Mm.
All right, do we have any other members of the public who'd like to comment or testify, ask questions? I'm not seeing any. All right, can I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Some.
Second?
Second.
All right, thank you. So it's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. We're all in the room, so all in favor to close the public hearing, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, by unanimous vote, the hearing is closed. Now we turn to board discussion. We'll start with.
I just have two quick questions. Well, one is related to what Greg said. What's the fine for adding to the sewer with an unauthorized connection? Is it as strong thing? I mean, is it strong as these fines or less?
It's structured a little different. I don't have the number directly in front of me.
That's okay.
I know that we can, for example, double fees for, not filing the application, connecting, etc.
Well, I did the point in time homeless count in January, and we put that RV down as, a random structure that's being lived in. I don't know if they're homeless, but that's really not a livable space as far as there's not a house there or anything. And second thing, I didn't realize this, but I have some friends that there was a contractor approached them because they were building a house on the lot next to their property. This happened twice or maybe 3 times around them. And they each time let the people use their water. I didn't know it was it's on item E on addendum exhibit A. So I didn't know that you can't just like let somebody run their hose or anything else if you don't have a connection. So Clemens told me they sell a construction water meter.
Yeah, we issue construction water meters for the purpose of, temporary water usage.
I guess they didn't know that. I sure am learning here stuff as we go. If they didn't know it was water theft anyway.
Okay, Catherine?
I believe, just before I get into my comment, water theft is not a theft if somebody has allowed them to attach a hose and is paying their own bill. We're talking about theft from the district, like unmetered water usage.
But it does say sale of district water.
You need to ask
Sorry.
for recognition from the
Sorry.
chair, and so please hold that thought.
But that aside, Greg, thank you very much for that, because I believe Christine or Clemens, the property owner owns the main, they're lateral to the property line.
Well, they're
But-
responsible for it.
They're responsible for it, but if they're not using, the way our billing is set up is, and this is for the public, if you use water that gets calculated over the winter months into creating your sewer bill on a bi-monthly basis. So that in fact is theft of district resources. And I think that's important. Christine, is there something in the general law about you cannot, it doesn't need to apply specifically to sewers, but theft of different district resources in an unauthorized manner?
I think, yes, there is. And the laws that are listed on page 6 of the ordinance, or the ordinance, sorry, on exhibit A, sorry about that, does list the state laws that apply generally to, yes, exactly the situation that you described. It's not limited to just water. There's 3 penal code sections. Well, there's actually 5 or 6. There's a health and safety code section, and these are all generally, referenced in our regulations, and we have the ability to enforce any kind of, they're misdemeanors, and
Well, I think this is, I remember. All right, so I was guilty. We tied in extra phone lines into our house. When you were charged sort of by the number of phones you had. And then over the years, people have been hooking into PG&E to get power for what they're doing. And I think this is timely, particularly given the squatters that are moving in all over the country now. And so they're just bypassing the meter and firing up their water supplies. And they're hooking into PG&E and so on. So I think this is very timely. And Greg, thank you again for bringing up the sewers, because we pay a pretty hefty bill. And we're doing everything we can to cut down on inflow and infiltration, which for those who want to read more about it, go see Tim Costello's posting on Nextdoor, where he does a superior job of explaining inflow and infiltration and all the stuff that we've been talking about for so many years. Because if extra water gets in, everyone in our district pays for it. And if somebody just does a haphazard connection to a lateral, then even more water can get in. And so I think this is critical. Thank you.
All right, Bill?
I think this is critical in its form. I'm hoping that at some point on top of it, we can add the concern, which is always there, that the minute you start messing with a public water supply, you might be putting germs into stuff we all drink. I don't want any bad guy to imagine that by paying $1,000, they get out of the culpability of possibly poisoning the neighbors. And so as far as I'm concerned, we obviously need to be paid for this and discourage it and stuff. But somehow our public voicing should just make sure you just don't do this kind of thing. Period.
All right, thank you, Bill. Did you have a follow-up question?
Only to point out on this exhibit A, that resale of water, no person or business inside or outside the boundaries of the district may resell any portion of the water delivered to them by the district. So technically what my neighbors did wasn't right, but they didn't know it. I didn't know about it. You know, I after the fact, I seem to remember it, but
Well, I'm gonna recognize myself. If they were giving the water away, that's not reselling. If they were selling the water, that's a problem. So, okay, well, we'll all learn something tonight. I'm gonna speak in support. I'm glad we have the opportunity to make this more clear in the ordinances, and looking forward to getting this onto the fee schedule. I've personally seen people roll up to fire hydrants and fill big containers, and I've called Clements to let them know if they're doing it with a meter that the district has let them check out, no problem, they're going to pay for it. If they're doing it without a meter, call Clements or any, just call the office, and that'll get taken care of. All right, do we have any further board discussion? If not, I would like to get a motion, and I want to make sure I'm asking for this in the right way. A motion to adopt the ordinance of the Montara Water and Sanitary District, adding Article 8 to Chapter 5 of the district's Code of Regulations prohibiting water theft and establishing administrative penalties for the theft of water. Do I have a motion? Oh, it's a rush. I'm gonna give it to Bill, and I think you're gonna get the second.
Yep.
It's an ordinance, so let's do a roll call vote, please.
Director Dicker,
I
Director Young,
yes.
Director Boyd.
Yes.
Director Slater Carter,
I
Director Sofsky.
yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. All right, well, interesting topic. I think it's been quite a while since we talked about straight up issues of ordinance becoming law of the land, but here we are. Some things we get to do. We have nothing on the consent agenda or old business. We do have new business. Item 1, review and possible action concerning Sewer Authority Mid-Coast fiscal year 2024-2025 general budget.
Thanks, Scott. So at the last SAM board meeting, the directors authorized the SAM general budget for next fiscal year to be sent to the member agencies for consideration and approval. Not for review, as the Half Moon Bay Review stated in their article, by the way, just for approval. The overall general budget is suggested to increase by $607,000 or 7% over the prior fiscal year. We're talking about a total of $9.2 million for the year 24-25. Our assessment for the Montara Water Sanitary District budget for the general budget is 1.86, so almost 1.9 million. And is this time increasing by 182%.
No,
I want to caution everybody,
20.
$182,000 or 11%.
Okay, that's a little.
And I wanted to point out that I read the same thing last year. But de facto, the cost increases were not true because we saw a budget amendment, a significant budget amendment mid-year. So I just want to point that out. So we're looking at these numbers The last year they were significantly high. I want to point that out. So we have Kishan Pratibadi, the SAM General Manager here, as well as Peter Medina, who work on the SAM General Budget to essentially present the budget. I'm always taking the highlights away. I'm sorry, guys. And they're also available for questions afterwards. So if I can hand it over to you, Kishan, to continue, please.
Thank you very much, Clemens. Yeah, at the outset, I just wanted to say that we wouldn't have reached this stage of preparing the budget and presenting without excellent support from my team, which consists of my finance officer, George Evans, our accounting technician, Callie, and of course, our finance consultant, Peter Medina. And we've also got very good support and encouragement from our finance committee, plus a lot of encouragement, support, comments from our member agency managers. So without all of them, we wouldn't have reached the stage. Now, I just wanted to share the process of the budget. We typically start the budget process in the month of February. We have internal discussions. Then after we formulate the budget, we discuss it with our member agency managers. And once we get an acceptable budget, agreeable budget, not accept, agreeable budget, then we present it to the finance committee. And after the finance committee takes a look at it, they authorize us to take it to the board, to the SAM board. And then the general manager takes it to the SAM board and seeks approval to distribute it to the member agencies for further processing so that they can get approval from their respective council and board. That's where we are right now. And we are seeking approval from the MWSD board to take it back to SAM. And then once the approval comes from all the 3 member agencies, then it gets adopted at SAM. So the whole process takes quite some time. And we are expecting that this will be done by May or June. Of course, we have to make sure that everything is done before June 30th. Now, I'd like to share my screen. I have a couple of slides and walk you through the budget process, please. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
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 Very good. So here we are, the 24-25 operating budget. Now, all authorized positions are included in the budget. We have filled up all the authorized positions. We do not have any vacancy right now, neither are we planning on any increase of staff. And we have typically 7 steps for each of the classifications, and all applicable merit step increases at 1 step have been included in the budget. We've applied 3% CPI to all non-personnel costs unless other changes were needed due to any actual or anticipated events. Typically, the MOU with the Local 39 is valid until January 2025, and that indicates a 3% increase in labor. And we have already started labor negotiations, which we should be able to implement it starting January 2025. So we've also accounted for an anticipated increase in labor costs. The infrastructure budget has been reduced by about 218,000 from last year's budget amounts. So to give you an overview, the wages and benefits have increased by 10% for the reasons that I've indicated earlier. Legal, engineering, professional services have increased by 17% because we also have a legal person who does HR work for us, as well as involved in the negotiation which we are doing with the Local 39. Then we have all other all other items, then we have total operating budget, which is less infrastructure, increased by about 13%. Infrastructure is decreased by 7%. The $3 million which we have proposed in the 24-25 is for the SAM-owned force main in Montara. And that's one we hope that will get approved and we'll be able to start work. That, as all of you know, it is required as per ERF consent decree to complete the design by December 2024 and to complete the total construction by June 2026. So this is only a partial cost that we've accounted for in the budget for the design costs and for certain amount which need to be completed by June 2025, which is about 7,500 linear square feet, which we need to finish by December 2025. So this pie chart gives you details of what I've already told you. The expenses by category is about 9.4 million. Wages and benefits about close to 2 million, a little over 2 million. The largest is infrastructure, which is 2.4. And then we have the all other expenses, which is 1.8, and legal and professional services is 955,000. This is again expenses by category, which does not include infrastructure. Now, all these numbers are already in your packet. I don't want to go through it again. Now, regarding the staffing information, we currently have 17 staff members, including the GM, out of which 13 are for operations, and we have 4 which are allotted for collections. So there we are, 13 plus 4, 17. Now, 13 employees in general budget. We have 6 employees who are currently at the top step. The rest of them are considered for step increase. Vacant positions are budgeted at mid-step, but in this case, there is no vacant position. If something comes up, then we'll budget it at mid-step. So the key changes in the operating budget is the personnel costs, where the net increases due to wage increases. You have COLA and merit. And then we have increased health and retirement costs, which are anticipated due to labor negotiations. Engineering services, there's a small amount. Professional services based on anticipated needs. My next slide will give you details about the professional services. Insurance premiums, which are increased due to the prior year's claims. You're all aware that we had a lot of winter storm damages in December 2022 and January 2023. Plus, we've also added a flood control policy, which requires extra premium to be paid. Utilities based on increased PG&E costs. Equipment rentals, which are basically generators as well as tanks, because generators, we need to rent out generators when we totally shut down anything in the plant. Although we have a plant generator, we need to have a backup of a backup generator as per the permit requirements. And therefore, we have to rent out generators and have them located whenever we plan any complete shutdown of the plant due to maintenance reasons. And then we have all of the operating expenses, which are decreased due to reduced utilization of supplies and equipments. So the sum of operating general budget key changes is about 828,000. Now the major vendors which are included in the legal and professional services details are, we have Calcon Systems, who are our contractors for any electrical work related to SAM assets. Then we have Ratan & Tucker, who is our general counsel. Boshe Law, who takes care of our special counsel, that is employment, HR, and our labor negotiations. Then we have RV Accounting and Advisory, which is basically Peter Medina, who takes care of our accounting services. Precision ID Consulting, who takes care of our IT services. Coflow Electrical, who takes care of our equipment maintenance whenever we have any motors which are on the verge of breakdown or have undergone a breakdown, then the lead time to procure motors is pretty long. So what we do is typically we send it to Coflow Electrical, who does the rewinding of the electrical and does the service for us quickly within a week or two. So that reduces the downtime. Then we have Peninsula Pump and Equipment, who takes care of all our equipment maintenance, typically pumps. And we've been using them extensively at Princeton Pump Station. especially where we have age-old pumps, which keep failing pretty often, and we keep refurbishing it. Hopefully, we will not be able to require that intense services once the Princeton pump station is up and running. The new pump station is up and running. Then we have Integral Consulting, who did a flood modeling studies for us, and during that, the board had also indicated that we need to do further work on the modeling, so that is being considered in our next financial year. And then we have the routine testing by Alpha Analytical, which is required as per permit requirements. We have the CalPERS rates, which increases every year. For the classic members, there's a slight increase from 13.26 to 13.31. This is the employer rate. And for the PEPRA, we have increase from 8 to 8.18. And classic members are typically the members who have joined the CalPERS before 2014, and PEPRA is members who joined after. Then we have the unfunded liability payment. For classic, it's last year, 23-24, it was 253,000. 24-25, it is 308,000. For PEPRA, it's about 4,381. So the assessments are typically based on calendar year flow. So typically the flows are calculated for the previous calendar year and brought to the SAM board in the month of January, February. And then those numbers are taken into the budget for calculation. So this is the assessment, general budget assessment. You see the numbers for Half Moon Bay and GCSD. For Montara, as Clemens indicated, there is an increase in 11%. So overall, the budget of SAM, there is an increase of about 7%. So this is the typical flow calculations where Half Moon Bay contributes to about 60.82%. GCSD contributes to about 19.04%. And MWSD contributes about 20.14. There's a slight change from last year to this year in the flow from MWSD. It was 19.45 to 20.14. So this is the division budgets by fiscal year, which is also in your packet, where the administration has undergone a change of 16%, treatment of 8%, the total operating budget increased by 7%. And as already indicated, the infrastructure is decreased by 2%, a marginal decrease. So that's all I have. I can stop sharing it. Get back to the screen if there are any questions. Staff is here, I'm here, and as well as my consultant, Peter Medina.
Okay, looking to the community. Don't see any hands yet. I'll keep an eye on it. Let's go to Sid.
Hi, Keishan, thank you. On the pages that say highlights, and there's the middle part that goes infrastructure projects in progress. There's one that says replace primary scum pump and motor, project canceled. And then there was another one I think I saw that was canceled too. Let's see. The grit removal project was canceled. Why were they canceled?
Yeah, they were canceled because number one, we needed funds for other projects. There was a lot of we got proposals which are higher than the budget rates. Plus, these two projects were not priority. We could always push it to the next years and not required to be done immediately. So we diverted those funds for these two projects, which was basically the primary clarifier and secondary clarifier. And we brought it to the SAM board and got an approval from the SAM board saying that these funds could be allotted for these for the clarifier projects.
I get it. Thank you. I think I had another one, but I can't remember
We'll
now.
come back to you. Let's go to
Thank you.
Catherine.
Keishan is ever so polite and knowledgeable, but I'm not. So what I'm going to say is that our project for the Princeton pump station in 2017 was estimated to be about $500,000. Through one agency in particular deciding it was going to sue the other two agencies and not pay for this particular project. The bill to complete the Princeton pump station is now at about 2.5 mil. That's a significant increase, number one, quintupling in just a few years. And the other is all the ratepayers have to pay for it, although the one agency is claiming it's not going to pay for them, it's paying under protest. And it's very important for us, point of pride, actually, to be the first to approve this budget. Peter Decker has worked on it. Peter is just the most incredible financial person I've ever run into. We know where you live now, so even if you get off the board, we'll be knocking on your door. Because he has found all the little rough spots. Sam's staff does an excellent job, but there is such detail in this. And so many things that an extra pair of eyes really makes a difference on this. But because of the necessity of some of these, of the projects that are in here, we need to get them done so that we can pay them, because inflation went up 3.5%, somewhere near there, again, from last March to this March. That's a lot of money, especially because inflation doesn't go away, so it's always a cumulative figure. And as I was talking about with the initiative 1935, prices only go up. And as you wait to repair things, costs only go up too, and the needs only go up. So I'm recommending, we've gone over this at SAM. And we have, as you can hear with the change from the that Sid just asked Keisha to speak about from one project to two others. We are working to get the highest efficiency of the plant and to keep things in the best shape. And if folks want to see or are interested in seeing, give Sam a call, because you can see all the work that has been going on there in this last budget year. We've cleaned out one of the big, I'm sorry, Keisha, I forget the
Digester.
the basin, yeah, the clarifier. And that has been needing it for a long time, and we got it done on schedule so that it's once every 10 years, but and it's a real health hazard otherwise. So anyway, I just wanted to say that it is of the utmost utmost importance for each member agency to support keeping SAM at the highest level functioning and equipment maintenance and repair that we can have it. It saves us money in the long term. So thank you.
Okay.
I remembered what I
Sam?
wanted to ask Kishan. Two things really. I guess I understand why you canceled some of those budgets in a household parlance. That's robbing Peter to pay Paul, pushing something off and deferring it till because you need the money for something more urgent. On the other thing, I wanted to know if your kind of retirement system has unfunded liabilities, or there's no, the ratepayers aren't on the hook for any long-term, you call them classic, I would call them legacy employees. Do we have that kind of a plan at SAM?
Yes, we have accounted for unfunded liability in our budget.
Okay, I guess I just missed it. Is it a huge number?
Yes.
It is. How many million or thousands?
It's 260,000 per year. Do you remember that, Peter, offhand?
Well, it's not necessarily the overall liability. It's the year by year. That liability gets adjusted each year based on the performance of the plan. But the amount that we paid for the unfunded liability portion for the coming year is, bear with me for a second. I
think it was in my slide.
yes,
It was, I saw it. It's in your slide.
$308,000. No, sorry, $313,000.
For 1 year?
Correct.
Okay. And, geez, there was one, oh yeah. I just noticed on here on the assessments based on calendar year flow, that Half Moon Bay is, their 60.82% represents $5,642,000. I mean, $5,006,442 and $255. And I think that's approximately what their deficit is on their budget, their city budget. So I don't know if they're gonna approve the SAM budget because they don't have money. It looks like it. I don't know. I could be wrong. It's just oddly that those two numbers are so close. Let's hope, we'll pray they won't hold up some more projects because it costs money every time we put one off.
Peter, did you have any comments?
Just like we have a reserve, the city of Upper Bay has a reserve as well. And when they have a shortfall, they dip into their reserve. And their reserve is more than good enough to cover that $5 million.
But will they?
Yes. I
You mean for
I
their deficit or for the
I
SAM?
firmly believe so.
Okay. All right. I've not been attending SAM meetings lately on Zoom, so I don't really can't feel what's the sense, but in the past,
The
they
only
can.
issue there is the issue of who is going to pay for the replacement of the force main and who's going to pay for Princeton Pump Station. Everything else, the city of Upper Bay has paid so far.
Right. No, I
And
just
there's
meant.
no reason to believe now
Mhm.
that now that we are in this phase with the Princeton Pump Station already having gone forward, that they will hesitate to go forward with the force main because that can be paid under protest, just like the Princeton Pump Station was paid.
Okay,
under
good.
protest.
That's
And you can
reassuring.
hear from Kitchen that the Princeton Pump Station has made major progress.
So look,
Good.
Peter, back to your questions and comments. Did you have more that you wanted to say?
I admire the finance team at SAM. I think they are doing a very good job. With the finance committee, we try to give as much hints of what we could improve on down the road. But we are going in the right direction ever since 2021, when we had to catch up on 3 years of bad keeping. We have had the budget on time, we've had the audits successfully completed. So I have nothing but praise for the team at SAM.
Well, I'll offer my comments. The numbers are kind of eye-watering at this point. They've gone up quite a lot in the past few years, but we know why. And this is, it's good to hear. Keishan, thank you very much for the presentation. Peter, thank you for your additional explanations. And Peter Decker, thank you for your diligent oversight. If it weren't for the work that you all have put in, these numbers, I'd be having a lot more questions. But with the understanding of just how much work you put into this, you have my thanks. And I'm going to support this. If we don't have any further.
I think I have one thing to add. Our only concern is that as we have put an infrastructure number in place, we may have to make an adjustment.
Sure.
In mid-year. That is almost unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
So that the number that you see here will be increasing with that adjustment.
Yeah. Thank you for the heads up. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the resolution of the Montara Water and Sanitary District.
One more comment.
Okay, but
I'll make the motion to adopt the budget.
okay, so the resolution of the Montara Water and Sanitary District consenting to approval by Sewer Authority Midco side of its general budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, and I have a motion and a second. And for any further discussion, oh, Catherine.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that yes, our retirement numbers look high. Not having employees is a disaster. And it takes, with fast food workers now getting $20 an hour. There's a compression and everybody's wages and benefits need to go up. And it's bad news. On one hand, the good news is we have one of the best crews at SAM as well as MWSD. And I don't feel that paying them a good retirement is at all a push, because these are people who know our system. They're training each other, the new people in particular. They work well, they make a great team. And I think we would be in a lot of trouble if we had to hire a whole lot of new people because these guys decided just to quit and take their retirement and leave. SAM is not an easy system to work on. It's a hybrid between very old, and the occasional patches that have gone in. And so it takes a highly specific skill set. And the other thing is that our guys can work. They can work interchangeably in a lot of the different functions. And the union is good with that. Some unions, if it's not on your specific job description, you can't do it. And these guys pitch in and help each other. They are, I repeat myself, the single most important environmental crew to keep our beaches clean and our streets and our neighborhoods here on the coast. So I think that we are getting, we need to do what it takes to encourage them to continue to work for us until they need walkers, and then we'll find something else for them to do. So thank you.
All right, any further discussion, or are we ready for the vote? If we're ready, let's, this is a resolution, so let me just ask all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The resolution consenting to the approval of the Sewer Authority Midco side general budget is approved.
Thank you.
Let's go. Oh, and thank you. And let's go to item 2, which is very related. The review and possible action concerning the Sewer Authority Midco side fiscal year 2024-2025 collections budget.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. So at the same meeting, the SAM board authorized the collections budget to send to the member agencies for approval. And the overall collections budget is suggested to decrease by 151,000 or 24% over the prior fiscal year to a total of 624,000 roughly. The 24-25 assessment for our collections budget is $237,000 and essentially decreasing by 57,000 or 24%. And I understand this is somewhat has to do a little bit with that last year there was not all money spent that benefits us this year now. I want to point out that we are we've been paying around $300,000 last year. This year $237,000, and the service we're getting for that money is incredible. I want to kind of chime in with Catherine here because this is very close to my heart, the operations really. And Tim and the entire collections will make sure that I can sleep well. I probably would sleep back if there's a problem with the treatment plan too, but this is just so much closer here in the district, so, I also want to say that they're doing really an outstanding job. There's very little involvement required. This is very much taken care of by Sam for us. Keishan is going to present this budget also and is available for questions. We are asking the board to adopt the resolution of the Montara Water and Sanitary District consenting to approval by the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side of its collections budget for fiscal year 24-25. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Clemens. Yes, our collection crew is basically, we have 4 staff members led by Tim Costello. So we have 3 who go around doing the flushing of the pipes, the cleaning of the pipes, and take care of that stuff. And we have 1 maintenance mechanic. So that's the total crew of 4. So as you guys are aware, we have 13 lift stations which need to be managed, which belong to Montara and needs to be managed, along with the pipelines which we do the flushing, as well as grinder pumps which we take care of also. Now, also wanted to highlight that we had some money remaining in our collections budget in our past audited years, which is about 74,000. So that has been considered in this budget after discussing with the member agency managers. And we've deducted that from our proposed budget. So the total is actually 624,145 after the deduction of 74,646. So as Clemens indicated, there is an decrease in 24%. Although there's a decrease, there is no decrease in any service being provided by SAM. We would continue to do whatever we are doing and improve upon whatever we are doing. Continuous improvement is our goal, and we would stick to that. I do not have any presentation right now, but I am present. I also have Tim Costello, who is actually known on this page as Super Tim. Super, so superintendent. That's why he calls himself superintendent. He is definitely Super Tim, but he's also here for any questions, anything. So open to questions, please. I do not have any specific presentation. The budget is already in your packet, so I didn't want to share that. Unless you have questions, I can pull it up.
Okay, I see a question from Bill.
Simplest possible question. It seems to me that collections means all of the stuff outside the SAM plant, which brings the sewage into the SAM plant. That's what I'm inferring, but I don't remember anyone telling me, so I'm not sure.
Yes, you're
What is
absolutely
collection?
right. You're absolutely right. Whatever is in the plant, we take care of it through our operations budget. And whatever is outside is the pipes, which it's basically a service contract with the member agencies. So whatever is the assets owned by the member agencies, we provide service in cleaning and maintaining those assets.
Okay, thanks.
So for us, the collection system would be all the pipes that deliver the sewage to the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side pump stations.
Okay, cool, thanks.
So this would be Montara Water and Sanitary District owned infrastructure, and SAM contracts out to help us take care of our stuff.
Thank you.
Right.
That makes
So it's kind of the they kind of have the arteries, and we've got the
veins in the arteries.
yeah, we got the smaller stuff, right? And so we bring it to the SAM artery, but
Okay.
they've got a great crew, and we've got a lot of infrastructure. I would note that our collections budget amount is more than either of the other 2 agencies. We've got a more complicated topography. We have more pumps because of more hills and valleys, and that's part of where we chose to live. So it's a little more complicated.
So this is stuff we actually own, not stuff which other people are telling us we own.
That's correct.
Got it.
Well said, Bill.
All right. I don't see any other questions. Can I have a motion to adopt the resolution consenting to approval by Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side of its collections budget for fiscal year 2024-2025?
So moved.
Okay, I heard Sid, and I heard
Yeah.
a second from Peter, I think. Okay,
Peter,
so
right. Sorry.
any further
I
discussion?
think
If not,
yeah.
all in favor of adopting the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Keishan and Super Tim. And Peter, quite a team effort. Oh, Peter, I see your hand up. Did you have anything?
It's just a quick matter that, as it relates to Montara, the overall increase from fiscal year 23-24 to 24-25, taking both O&M and collections, is an overall increase of $4,243 in total.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, with that's the end of new business. We now have reports.
Thank you very much.
Wait, Keishan, do you have anything you want to add? To the sewer authority, or yeah, to the sewer authority Mid-Coast side report that I would otherwise give, but you guys know more than I do, so this is your time to brag.
Yeah, definitely. When that item comes on the agenda for discussion, I can pitch in. I'll stay on.
It's right here. It's now. It's your turn.
Already now? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted.
please,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that besides the budget which was discussed at the meeting, at the SAM board meeting, we also got approval from the board to buy a maintenance vehicle. So we have a vehicle for maintenance, which was purchased, I believe, in 2004, and that has been going through a lot of repairs. And recently there was a breakdown in that particular vehicle, which was costing us about more than $50,000 to fix it. But we had to get it towed from a particular place, bring it back to SAM. Then we took it to the workshop and realized that it's going to cost almost 50 plus. So we had this already approved in our budget in our prior years. We hadn't really activated it. So we got authorization from the board to go ahead and purchase a maintenance vehicle for our crew. That was the only addition that we added. Otherwise, I don't have anything else, Catherine. I don't remember anything else which we covered in the agenda.
No, I think everything else, that's been our big purchase, and I will praise the board, the entire board at SAM. There wasn't a big fight or discussion or anything. We did have an interesting discussion about electric vehicles versus gasoline powered, but everyone voted for this, unlike in 2016, 17 or 17, 18, there was a truck with holes. It would rain through the roof. God, it would get water inside. It was rusty. The doors were falling off. I've forgotten all the details, so I'm kind of throwing them in. It was a wreck of a truck. And there was a great deal of discussion over whether we should replace it or fix it. And I think, in fact, buying a new one now is an appropriate time, and our crew takes good care of our vehicles. I run into one of our operations crew when I was wandering around in El Granada, and I said, "Boy, your truck looks good." He said, "I wash this thing every day."
Wow.
And so our guys really take care of their equipment, and I'm so proud of our board for realizing and appreciating what they do and making sure they have good equipment.
One other thing which I forgot was also brief the board that the Princeton pump station was going on, work started already and it's going on in full swing. So if you guys have the time, please swing by the Princeton pump station. The only requirement is we would need a hard hat. If you guys don't have a hard hat, swing by SAM and pick up a hard hat for yourself and take a look at that. It's going at a good pace. You'll really see the amount of work being done right now. And we hope to complete it in July, August.
Thanks for that. I'll make a point of swinging by. Sid?
Keishan, before you go, I just want to thank you. You're very patient when in the years past you've had to rework for budgets and, you know, when different contributors were stalling, and I can see that it's a frustrating situation, but also if you'll pass on to your crew what a great job they're doing from me and the rest of the board. Thank you so much. Can't be easy.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Do we have anything else for the sand report, or are we ready to go on to Mid-Coast? Okay, Mid-Coast Community Council, Greg, do you have anything for us?
I have a few things quickly. We at the MCC passed a letter on the Montara Mountain Road maintenance. I have to say, it's a dangerously critical letter. We asked for a road maintenance plan with some defined standards of behavior. And long run, we asked to get rid of the towers on the Montara Mountain. I'll skip the details. You know some of the backdrop as a PUC, but the council is very concerned about preserving that environment. We also sent out a letter to the National Park Service regarding GGNRA and the plans there, summarizing our community feedback. The council declined to include some stuff I wanted to add about fire and watershed concerns. So for the first time in my history at the MCC, I abstained along with Dan Haggerty. I still support sending the feedback to the National Park Service, but I thought we should punctuate the potential dangers. I hope MWSD will further raise awareness with the National Park Service, in the coming weeks and months. The next meeting, we're going to have Parks' response to a herbicide letter that was sent out expressing concerns. We've seen what I consider a reasonable response, but that's not to say that the community is going to be satisfied. There's also a proposal to essentially smoke or burn a bunch of the downed logs in Quarry Park, close to Quarry Park, as opposed to shipping them to Stockton or somewhere else. And that might cause problems because people might be concerned about air quality. The technology they're using supposedly works, but hasn't been used in San Mateo County. So we're going to be discussing that. And then I want to make sure you know that there's a new Get There Together workshop. San Mateo County and the city of Half Moon Bay are partnering on a new transportation plan called Get There Together. There's a couple of workshops. Notice has been posted in Nextdoor, and it's the first item on the MCC website. There's both an in-person and virtual workshop. And I think that's it for the MCC right now, unless there's questions.
I have
Director, I want you to know that just recently, a week ago, a bicyclist who went on the trail that leads, the old San Vito trail that leads to the ranch, fell into a neglected culvert hole and broke not only 4 ribs, but also broke his pelvis. And had to go to the ICU. And I really blame GGNRA for not having fixed that hole for a year or more than a year, even though there are teams going on that same trail that do replanting of native vegetation. That I think.
Where was that reported? Peter, where's that
GGNRA.
report? Where can I grab that report?
It was reported to me by a fellow bicyclist and by his wife, who walked by with her dog and told us the story.
Was there an emergency crew that got?
There was an
involved?
emergency crew that came and parked their car at the head of the trail, at the trailhead, and had an ATV available to cart him off the trail and into the ambulance.
So there would be a.
Was it
report.
on Nextdoor? Is there any link I can take and bring to the council about this?
I'll get you something.
Thank you, Peter.
Welcome.
And so I'm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please report this to coastal because that is in the coastal zone. I'll give you Marlene's name, who I'm working with on the parking issue and her phone number. But I think coastal needs to be very closely involved with this.
This, by the way, was Tim Oldman and his wife, Mary. Mary has been working at Apple Bay Brewery for quite a while.
Where's
Very well known.
the location of the road damage?
The location is, if you go to the trailhead at Drake, and you go about 3/4 of the way down, it's 3/4 of the way down. It's a giant culvert that goes underneath the trail, and it has collapsed on one part, and now the hole is expanding to the point that it is hard to avoid the hole.
Do you think it would be feasible to like cone it off or put up barricades?
There are 2 cones standing there now.
Okay, good. good. That's a
No,
start.
I-
That's something.
I think this whole mountain issue needs to be followed closely by coastal. And, I think that's, particularly critical in this case, because again, I recall when this was brought up, the big issue are the towers in coastal zone or not? And San Francisco Water said no, and, one of our more erstwhile board members here took a few people up there and pointed out that it was below the crest. And it is in the coastal zone. And so coastal commission does have jurisdiction.
If they know about it.
Yeah, Greg, I can give you a little more detail on that later. Well, Peter, thank you for raising this issue. Sounds like something a lot of us have some interest in, and I'm glad to hear that you're making an issue of this. Greg, I would just ask you, you've probably gone into a little more detail in the GGNRA proposal. Did they talk at all about the condition of San Pedro Mountain Road? I don't recall seeing anything, but I don't know that I did a thorough review.
The plan that I recall, which they're saying is not their plan, it's just, I don't know what they're calling it. I don't see any road maintenance in there either.
There is mention of exactly that road stretch and section to be improved.
Thanks.
Yes,
Okay, well, maybe we can raise the point with them about maybe this affects the prioritization and their scheduling.
It's certainly in our watershed.
Yeah, well, it's
so we're planning to bring this document that we just received actually through the MCC to this board at the next meeting, and they plan to have a discussion how this affects us and what we're seeing in this.
yeah, it's a rather, they put a lot of work into it. I'll say that. It's rather sweeping in its scope. So
Yes.
it'll be, please leave some time before the next meeting to go through it, because it's rather long document.
I'm probably gonna send the link to the document to the full board as soon as I can, so that there's time to review this for the board members that haven't received the link yet. But yeah, we plan on bringing this to this board, and want you guys to look at this plan.
All right, well, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Clemens. Let's go on to the CSDA report.
CSDA, we finally had a meeting. The last meeting was in December. So the meeting was this week on Tuesday. Our next meeting is July 16th. So they're quarterly. We had a good turnout. Rob Bartoli from LAFCO, he replaced Martha Poyanos. Has put together a 5-year work plan for the municipal service reviews. Montara is not until I think 2029, 2030. I can double check that. That's my recollection. I gave somebody my list. Montara will be part of an entire coastside MSR that will look at the lighting districts in Half Moon Bay and Grenada and Montara and CCWD, Coastside County Water District, and all of the CSA County Service Area 16 and 12 will also be studied. On May 15th, LAFCO will be reviewing this. The other thing that is going on, there's actually quite a bit of stuff going on. But for LAFCO, Virginia Chancarelli has been nominated to be a special district board member on the LAFCO. And so I'm mixing these two things up. But we need to send a note in and get, so we can get the ballot electronically, because if we don't get it electronically, then, and I think we need to do this by May 5th, if we don't get it electronically, then they're going to be sending us a paper ballot, which we can return digitally, but it's just easier to do it. And so have we received notice on this?
On the LAFCO ballot?
Yeah,
Not yet. I mean, we
Okay.
usually receive it by email.
right,
And I believe that's a vote that's cast by our president. So either president or manager can cast the vote.
right.
So I'll forward that usually to the president.
Right, and so the other thing that's going on with the CSDA is there's a group of us who are going to be working on bringing the bylaws up to date. And we did get a presentation from CSDA on this initiative 1935, and it affects all local government. And so that's what's going on with that, and that's pretty much what's going on with LAFCO. They have been working on the Broadmoor Police District, which has serious fiscal issues. They claimed they were thinking about declaring bankruptcy. It's a little island kind of in the middle of an unincorporated area in the middle of Daly City, and Daly City has been trying to take that little unincorporated area over for years. It's like half the size of Montara, and people don't want to be part of Daly City. But their police department doesn't have enough money to function on, and they haven't been looking for other sources of funding. The other is that East Palo Alto wanted to take over the East Palo Alto Sanitary District. I forgot the name. And it was, again, unable to manage its finances. It's a big problem. And so the sanitary district is suing LAFCO because LAFCO said that it should be made a subsidiary district of the city, East Palo Alto. And one of the things that they managed to get into the absorption of this was that the finances had to be kept separate from the city's general fund. For the last municipal service review, there was a footnote that somehow got removed that said Half Moon Bay was intermixing its sewer district funds with its general fund. And so I will be keeping an eye on that, both for CSDA and on for the coast side. So that's what's going on with those two. There won't be another LAFCO meeting for a while. And May 6th is the deadline, I believe, on the selection notice for us to have received it. You might want to give Rob a call. So that's what's going on with those.
Okay, Sid?
Well, we mixed LAFCO with CSDA on that last report, but I did have a question or two about the CSDA first. And that was that on my emails, it says that the award nominations are due on May 1st. And some of the individual awards are Board Member of the Year, General Manager of the Year, Staff Member of the Year, Ralph Heim Exceptional Outreach and Advocacy Award, and William Hollingsworth Award of Excellence. They give out these awards in September at the annual meeting. Then there's other chapter award for Chapter of the Year, District Award, Innovative Program Project of the Year, Large and Small Districts, Exceptional Public Outreach and Advocacy, and Excellence in Technology. And I was hoping maybe we could apply for one of them, and maybe with our what do you call it that we had just recently in September, the public celebration. And then the other thing on legislative days are coming up for sorry, not LAFCO, CSDA in May 21st in Sacramento. I wondered if we're gonna go to that. Does anybody know? Is that worth going to? I used to go all the time for CAR, but it's different.
I think, oh, that's the other thing is we have to pass this resolution. Against the initiative 1935, and they CSDA asked us to get it in. They have a sample one on their website.
Is that worth going to Sacramento for to lobby on May 21st and 2nd?
I'm going for the Harbor District.
Okay,
And I
I
was
think
throwing-
somebody from our district should go. I'd be happy to go. I'm kind of the junior person to do lobbying though.
Well, if we were gonna lobby, I'd like to have a plan about what it might be for.
Right, exactly.
So,
So it's coming up May 21st. And then my question regarding LAFCO, since we kind of jumped around on the last two reports, was I attended the LAFCO meeting virtually, and they did talk about San Bruno. And one of the things they said was that their budget was in disarray. And I was wondering if they do cities and look at the city's overall budgets, how come they don't do Half Moon Bay? Do you know? Or they don't
Again,
use,
this is for the MSR, and so Half
Right.
Moon Bay is a few years off.
okay, but that's for municipal services review, like the sewer district, right?
No, it's for the city too. They look at the finance.
Oh,
and the
okay, so they won't
interaction.
do it until we're all lumped together for all those ones you mentioned, CCWD,
Exactly.
GSC, GCSD, okay. So then they'll look at the Half Moon Bay budget as well, or how they manage their finances.
every agency gets its turn.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't understand why they were doing some cities and some special districts, but now I know.
Yeah.
We have to wait for a municipal services review time to come up. I think our last one was in 2015 or something. So
No, it was before that.
2005 maybe. It was so
Yeah,
long ago, I
it-
forget and I
It was
remember.
a long time ago, and when the state legislation was passed, the MSRs were supposed to be happening every 5 years.
Yeah.
But as with big government, they make all these mandates and then they cut funding.
It was so long ago, it was at Seton Hospital. That's how I remember it. When Martha came and talked to everybody.
That was part of it, but actually the municipal service review was held in Half Moon Bay.
Sorry, they did come to our, maybe it was the MCC meeting they came to.
Let's get back to finishing up this agenda. Christine, do we have anything for attorney's report?
Thank you, President Boyd. Just two quick items. And I apologize, Catherine, if you mentioned this when you were talking about the initiative 1935. But the Supreme Court is considering a petition. It's called a pre-election petition that was filed by the state legislature, challenging the initiative as being unconstitutional. And just today, they set oral argument
Wow,
for May 8th. Wait, I had
that's
that.
pretty quick.
Yeah, let's
Nip it
see.
in the bud.
I'm gonna think. Sorry, my computer's not working. Wednesday, May 8th, oral argument in San Francisco. And anyway, so I don't know what the Supreme Court will do. It's possible it could prevent the initiative from even going on the ballot. I don't know if that will happen,
Wonderful.
but that's certainly one of the remedies. So that would be great because it's a very concerning piece of proposed legislation. So second thing is I don't have any attorney's report tonight, but I am attending the CASA Attorney Spring Conference next Friday. And I normally don't get excited about those things until I get the agenda, which I did just get yesterday, and it looks really good. So I'm hoping to have some some reports on items of interest for the district after that. So next meeting. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I don't think I got an answer on whether we're gonna apply for one of the CSDA award nominations.
We need to put it on the agenda and discuss it.
Right, but it's coming up. I think it's
I-
May 1st.
It's April 18th today. We really don't have time to have the discussion in public to prepare for that, I think.
That's a no then.
But it's an annual thing. Maybe we can keep an eye on it for the coming year.
I would suggest if we want to have any shot at all of getting it, we should have our CSDA transparency certificate.
We do.
We do have it? Oh, that's right, we do. It's good until next year.
Okay. All right, any directors' reports, Catherine?
I'm gonna take a sideliner, but I am starting to work and hopefully I've got some team members already. I've been very concerned about the Caltrans and county using the old solutions from the Middle Ages, not even as good as the Greeks or the Romans or the Swedes. Or the Dutch to stop erosion on the cliffs. And all they want to do is put in a strip of riprap, which immediately, and there's old photos showing how the ends of the riprap erode into the bluffs or the hillside or whatever it is and cause even more erosion.
What is riprap?
Riprap is, if you go down and you're driving to Half Moon Bay, you see those piles of rocks along the edge of the ocean.
Okay.
Those cause more erosion. Because the water gets pushed around and so it goes into the soft dirt and pulls it out. I've been talking to a number of people and I would like to, I talked to Michelle Dragany about this. I really want this community to take a strong stand with the Board of Supervisors and all of our electeds that we need to put in artificial reefs. Our reefs have disappeared in the 40-some years I've been here. I've seen the kelp offshore disappear. There are now technologies and things that you can buy and put in a coordinated fashion to change the tides and change the wave patterns so we could recreate the beaches and not need to put in more riprap. Verona Road right now is halfway gone because of the Caltrans and the county riprap. I've been talking to Mark Montara about this. George Dormerant, who's on the Harbor District Board, is working with a group of retired seashore engineers and surfers who are engineers as well, and they're starting to work with the Army Corps of Engineers to get funding for this. Oceanside down in Southern California has been is starting the process of getting approved regulatory approvals to put in these ripraps or these are not the artificial reefs. George was showing me pictures of the artificial reefs off the edge of certain of the Great Lakes to help preserve the beaches on the Great Lakes. So this is all part of sea level rise and protecting the shoreline and bringing back our marine habitats. Because if you put in this kind of equipment that will promote the growth of kelp, it will also promote the growth of fish nurseries. And it will make it back into a living seashore instead of a dangerous eroding pile of rock.
Do they need a physicist?
You never know.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted. They certainly have engineers and the problem is Caltrans and the county are just using the same old thing that is proven to fail. So thank you.
Okay.
Regarding the riprap, I know it was like a 4 or 5 hour city council meeting, but Pacifica had a guy come and testify that in the, what they call it, the storm in January, atmospheric river. A boulder came and was thrown up onto his house. He's down by, in the rust belt of Pacifica there, where all the houses are close to the water. And another one came shortly after and ended up damaging his solar system. So they can be projectile missiles in the right particular situation.
And George and his team, and I'll talk to anybody about how long it is. I would like to see it go in parts of Pacifica. And it also needs to go down and investigate the tides all the way down to south of the sand plant, so that we can help protect the sand plant from these catastrophic events too.
I saw long ago in Crescent City, a giant reef made of what looked like jacks. They're 6-foot concrete, some fun. So they're not rocks. They're things which are designed to not be able to be thrown.
There's all different forms.
But those are still classified as riprap and not as artificial reef.
That I don't know.
They have different terms, but the idea is really simply that if you have riprap on part of a coastline, the wave energy is redirected to the ends, to the areas right outside of riprap. And if you go look at any of these where there's a section that is armored and the neighboring sections are not armored, you'll see scouring that happens right at the end of the armoring, and it kind of starts, it just puts all the energy, the end of any object in a wave tank becomes a radiator.
Oh, yeah, I know, interference from
Right. Yeah,
But
so
these are giant absorbers. They're so porous that they might not reflect as much as rocks.
it's a whole big industry around this.
Okay.
And Catherine's point is, you can't expect to get any better results by trying the same old stuff. So there are any number of alternatives to doing this, all of which can go to serve the purpose, but the reef has benefits that Catherine is identifying that would be beneficial, not just to armor, but perhaps to even improve the environment.
The biggest handicap we see in talking to everyone is the marine sanctuary.
One more thing, what happens down in Miramar because of our breakwater, they say it's cutting into the edges down there and eroding the bluffs. But when the Murata Bridge collapsed and they were going to replace it, then suddenly the Coastal Commission jumped in and make them put in a staircase. I don't know if you walk the coastal trail. I'm not that ambulatory these days, but my friend sent me a picture. It delayed the bridge because Coastal Commission insisted they put a staircase down to the beach. It's getting completely inundated by water and sand. And now there's 2 giant logs that are rolled up against the staircase. So go figure.
Okay. Do we have anything else for director's reports? If not, we can go to the general manager's report.
No report.
All right. On future agendas, we have the hydrants. We're now going to end the public session and thank the public for joining us. Really glad for your participation. And we're going to reconvene after a break for PCT to tear down. We're going to come back into closed session where we'll have conference with legal counsel, existing litigation on the case of the city of Half Moon Bay suing its neighbors. If we take any action in closed session, we'll report that out after we come out of closed session. All right, we are in recess. Thank you.